Girls, this is jerningham here. Beginning on Boxing Day for 6 weeks, Northern Ireland 8 PM lockdown. You say Northern Ireland lockdown, see? No Intel shops closed. Hospital takeaways. What I mean by that is, there's going to be another lockdown in Northern Ireland on Boxing Day. And today, Wales has just gone into lockdown. And I just thought I'd do another quick update of a video. So some shops will stay open, pubs, bars, and Ireland will stay open. There's some shops, but not many. Well, some of them may be closed. That's what they're talking about. So the lady's saying she's finding herself in a bad place in Northern Ireland. You can see her, she's talking about it on the news there.
And across the border in the Republic of Ireland, the Irish Prime Minister Micheál Martin said a different form of restrictions would come into effect before the new year.
Clearly the north is going into a very severe restriction phase now. We will also be shortening, as I said yesterday, the period of relaxation of measures. We'll be meeting Cabinet on Tuesday to deal with the advice from NEFID in relation to restrictions to be brought in before New Year's Eve, and that would in particular relate to hospitality and intercontinental travel, but non-essential retail would be allowed to continue open.
Greater Manchester Police Chief's Constable has resigned. It comes after his force was placed in special measures yesterday because of concerns over its failure to record more than 80,000 crimes in the space of a year. Within the past hour, Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham announced that Owen Hopkins had stepped down with immediate effect.
It is my job to hold the Chief Constable to account, and by extension the force, for the services provided to our residents. At times, this essential task has been made too difficult by an overly defensive culture within GMP. This needs to change if GMP is to develop the open learning culture that will allow the failures identified by HMIC to be properly addressed.
Noel Phillips is in the newsroom to tell us a bit more about this. Noel, just remind us of the report that's led to this standing down.
So in the year to June the 30th, around 200 crimes a day were going unrecorded by the force, and that's one of the reasons why Her Majesty's Inspectorate for Policing has placed Greater Manchester Police in what is officially known as the National Oversight Process. That means they have failed victims of crime, they've failed in their investigation processes, and it's understood that only one force has only ever been placed in this measure, and that's Cleveland. And that happened some years ago, but it really is a damning report and a challenging time now for Greater Manchester Police to try and move on and try and win the trust of the community and the people of Manchester again. But we heard the Mayor there, Andy Burnham, speaking a few moments ago. He was asked himself at that press conference, why hasn't he himself stood down? And his response was that, I do not run Greater Manchester Police. It is the Chief Constable who oversees the day-to-day operation of the force. So he's defending his position and remaining where he is. But I'll read you a statement now from Owen Hopkins, the outgoing Chief Constable, who's released a statement in the last hour or so. And he said, these are challenging times for Greater Manchester Police. The force has a long-term strategic plan to address the issues raised by the HMIC, and I believe this plan should be led by a Chief Constable who can oversee it from start to finish. Considering what is best for Greater Manchester Police and the communities we serve, and given my current ill health, I decided to stand down from the post of Chief Constable with immediate effect. And he's been a police officer for over 32 years. He rose from Assistant Chief Constable to Deputy and then eventually to Chief Constable in 2015. So, as it stands, his Deputy, Ian Pilley, will now take over the day-to-day running of Greater Manchester Police. But as I've said, a long way now ahead for the force to try and win the trust of the people of Manchester again.
No, thanks. US Vice President Mike Pence was vaccinated live on TV earlier today to reassure Americans that it was safe. His wife Karen and the US Surgeon General Jerome Adams also received the jab. America has begun its largest vaccination campaign in the nation's history, and in remarks made immediately afterwards, he was confident the Moderna vaccine was also nearing approval.
As the Christmas holiday approaches, this is always a season of hope. We gather here today at the end of a historic week to affirm to the American people that hope is on the way. And Karen and I were more than happy to step forward before this week was out to take the safe and effective coronavirus vaccine that we have secured and produced for the American people. It's a truly inspiring day. The American people can be confident. We have one, and perhaps within hours two, safe and effective coronavirus vaccines for you and for your family.
The 344 schoolboys who were kidnapped in Nigeria last week have arrived safely back in the city of Katsina after they were released by their captors. The city's state governor said the group will receive a physical examination before being reunited with their families. The Islamist terror group Boko Haram has claimed responsibility for the abduction. The Prime Minister has said that the door is still open for a Brexit trade deal, but the EU must come to the table with something. Boris Johnson has stressed that talks do still continue.
The UK's got to be able to control its own laws. It's what people voted for, and we've also got to be able to control our waters and our fishing rights. It's obviously also what people voted for, and no sensible government is going to agree to a treaty that doesn't have those two basic things in it, as well as everything else. Our door is open. We'll keep talking, but I have to say that things are looking difficult, and there's a gap that needs to be bridged. The UK's done a lot, I think, to try and help, and we hope that our EU friends will see sense and come to the table with something themselves.
Well, negotiators are taking three issues down to the wire specifically. One of the main sticking points is fishing rights. This concerns who has access to UK waters, how much can they fish, and what return on the catch that the UK will get from those EU trawlers. There's also concerns over the EU's demands to allow Brussels to subsidise industries across Europe while denying the UK the same rights. There has, however, been some progress over the so-called level playing field to ensure that UK industry and businesses don't gain a competitive advantage over their European counterparts. So your correspondent Adam Parsons is in Brussels for us. It's been these three sticking points for such a long time, Adam. It seems like from what I've just read there that state aid and fishing are the ones, level playing field and fishing are still the ones causing issues.
Yeah, and actually the level playing field does include elements of state aid, so that is unresolved. And you're right, that they are entwined as well, that the fishing regulations play into these competition rules and the level playing field, and also play into this sort of governance question about if there is a breach of any trade deal, what happens. For instance, if there is a breach of fishing quotas, could it be that the EU can respond by introducing a tariff on, let's say, cars? It's a very, very complex set of negotiations, and frankly, I don't think it is that near to being resolved. That is not to say it can't be resolved, but I think the hope that was prevalent across Brussels a few days ago that a deal might be done by tonight, seems to have dissipated. In fact, speaking to diplomats today who are right back in the place of saying we're not sure if a deal will be done. Interestingly, listening to the Prime Minister there talking about this concept of sovereignty, of having to control your own waters. You talk to EU sources and they say it's the same for them, that they feel that they need to have sovereignty in this. They need to be able to control access, not necessarily to British waters, but to the single market. So you often hear almost two sides of the same coin being quoted as evidence of these entrenched positions. Now, Michel Barnier has been the EU's chief Brexit negotiator throughout this process. He's been talking to the UK for over 4 years now about this Brexit trade deal. He came to the European Parliament today and gave this assessment of where he thinks we are.
Nous sommes à un moment de vérité.
It's the moment of truth.
Il nous reste très peu de temps.
We have very little time remaining, just a few hours.
Utile dans cette négociation.
to work through these negotiations in a useful fashion if we want this agreement to enter into force on the 1st of January.
So talks have been going on today between Mr Barnier and Lord Frost, the UK's chief Brexit negotiator, although they broke after about an hour, and it's not yet clear actually if the two main negotiators have resumed those talks or whether it's down to their supporting teams. But we know the areas of negotiation. We also know that the European Parliament has said that it wants to see a deal by the end of the weekend. Otherwise, it will not ratify any Brexit trade deal because it says it won't be time to look at it properly.
We don't want to be trading with the EU.
An absolute firm deadline.
We want to trade with a different country would be nice.
But there is a way
It happened.
that a deal, even if it's done in the run-up to Christmas, even if it's done after Christmas, could still be put in place thanks to a rather controversial piece of legislation called a provisional application, which the European Parliament loads, which Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, had previously said she wouldn't use, but, which I'm reliably told, member states think they will be quite happy to exploit if it meant that a possible trade deal got put into place by the 1st of January. As ever, this whole Brexit negotiation is complex and tense, and at the moment, unpredictable.
Adam, thanks for now. Just while Adam was speaking, we've had today's daily COVID figures published by the UK government. So, I can tell you that...
I'm going to pause it there because I want to do a second video of the COVID figures numbers. So this is a short video of the Northern Ireland. Anyway, thanks for joining me. See you next video. Peace.